Do you have to charge that thing?
It's AAA batteries.
Nice.
So just keep it back.
That's cool. Huh.
Solid first question. So I've been like trying not to for the years ever even edit these.
Yeah.
Like, just slap an intro and an outro on it and call it a day.
Yeah.
Lately I haven't even been doing that. It's just like with the house thing, and we've been shopping and losing bids, and then back to shopping. We walked away from one, lost our deposit on it.
Yeah, wow.
It's just been rough. But we're finally like getting somewhere with one.
Oh, cool.
Which I feel good about.
Yeah.
We're past the window where I feel like they'll sell it out from under us, because that's what happened on the last one. We put an offer in, they accepted it, then they continued to show it,
God
and
damn.
they took an offer higher and came back to us and asked for $15,000 more. And I said they can have it. I don't want it.
Right.
It's got all these issues that we were already accounting for.
Yeah.
I'm not going for it.
Damn.
So
it's brutal.
We're good with where we're at. The pricing isn't great. The interest rates aren't great.
Yeah, it is what it is. You just have to bite the bullet. Like we know we overpaid for our house, but we like looking back, we're like, oh fuck, we lucked out with our interest rate. But it's like, if anybody, like, our house still isn't worth what we paid for it. Like, it's just a bullet you have to bite if you just want a house at the moment.
Yeah, and at some point it kind of washes.
Mm-hmm.
My theory on it has been the first person that overpaid for their house was overpaying for their house. But if you take a $100,000 neighborhood and you're paying $150,000 in that neighborhood, the first one that does that feels like they got hosed. Over the course of a year and a half, 2 years, if every house in that neighborhood that sells at 150, 160, 140,
Right.
you can't tell me it's not a $150,000 neighborhood anymore.
That's a really good point.
You're going to look at all the comparables that have sold in that area, and they're all $150,000 houses now.
Wow. Damn. That's something to chew on right there.
So that will ebb and flow through the years for sure, but that's kind of my theory on it. Is if it was that tiny little bubble right at the beginning of 2020 and 2021, yeah, maybe you would have been screwed buying if it had just gone up and come right back down.
Right.
But it's lasted long enough that it's the norm.
Right, and it's regional too, so it's like at the average of the regional, because I'm sure shit in Miami and California was like stupid crazy compared to maybe somewhere more rural.
I know, we're talking like 100 and 150K. We're laughing when you're talking about California or something. Like, oh my God.
That's a rental.
So,
yeah,
it's like half a year's rent.
Right, and you were saying like because you were so busy, you just weren't doing anything with editing, post-processing the podcast. But I think putting stuff out in general, as long as you're not frying yourself, putting stuff out, I think is probably kind of be beneficial and fun either way. Like I stopped picking. I used to curate songs for the outros to every episode, and after a while, I was like, if I had to do this every week, and like this, this is this song I'm picking right now that I'm mulling over is actually the reason why the video gets demonetized on YouTube. Maybe I should stop, because it's different when it's in a bike edit because it purposely got brought up and it needed to be talked about. But you know, if I'm just shooting myself in the foot because of my outro song, then shit, I might as well just drop those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to keep it going.
Well, and that was kind of my thought, as I was doing way too much with work, just hour-wise, like always 50, 60 hours a week.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Trying to like still do jams and host events and do all that type of stuff, stay active in the scene and get out and ride and do anything like that. Where's the time?
Yeah.
You know, now I'm sitting there recording podcasts, and like it wasn't a ton of money, but I was doing maybe $100 a month streaming games too.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like,
That's cool.
I was going to be playing video games at night anyway. Why would I not stream it?
Yeah.
If I'm going to do it, you might as well have it out there, and if people like it, cool. If not, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
So that's like all of that together. Where was there time to sit there and edit a podcast?
Yeah.
And I always felt like it wasn't really a podcast for me even. It's a podcast kind of for the scene. Especially down in Pittsburgh, there was a lot going on. A lot of different people, a lot of moving parts. A scene that appears fairly cohesive and together with a lot of little factions and subgroups going on, which is, I think, is typical, but
Right.
like in Binghamton, you don't see it as much because there isn't as big of a scene.
Right. There's not just people, so many people, you could just grab anybody and be like, hey, you want to come in for an episode, you know, because they're around.
Right. Or, I mean, you know, this is a little bit of negativity. I'm going to throw it out there anyway. What do they have going on?
Maybe who?
Like
Binghamton?
Yeah. Well, anyone, right? Not just specifically Binghamton, but it's tough to talk to someone if they don't have anything going on.
Right.
I had a couple of those, even with people that did have stuff going on. That you've got enough, you know, that you get them in, you set up, you have this episode, and you start asking them questions, and you're getting one-word answers.
Yeah.
Are you into this? What do you think about this? Yeah, it's cool. Like, go on, please. If I'm gonna carry this interview, it's gonna be rough. Like,
yeah.
So, you know, getting people that can talk, I guess, is the key.
And people that want to be on, because like sometimes I'm like Lawhead's been cool with coming on repeatedly, but it's like sometimes I feel weird asking him because I'm like, I don't even know if he wants to put himself out there like that. I just keep coming back to him because he'll show up and, you know, he'll be there.
Yeah.
He's got an opinion, and it's like, so, like in normal podcast worlds, it's usually they're there to promote something, which could be taken two ways. You know, it could be seen like they're shilling, but at the same time, it's like that's kind of like the point of them being there, and you know, it's good to have a mix, probably.
Well, that's the easy one. When someone has something to promote, you can let them talk about however they want to talk about it, and you can weasel some questions in or something here and there.
Yeah.
But you don't even really have to, because they're there. They want to promote something.
Right.
And when you've got like a dude that rides once a month or once every 2 months and is busy with work, but they don't love their job, it's just a job, they don't have anything to talk about. It's tough.
Shit, you're exactly right, man.
And there's an element...
I mean, they do have shit to talk about. It's that they can't ride. They hate work.
There's an element when you start the podcast versus after you've done a handful of them, too. And I feel like you were talking about this with Cam when he was on your show from the Goat Cave. Mm-hmm. And then Law had brought it up on the most recent episode of Different Spokes. Is just other things, like talking about things that aren't BMX. And Cam was talking about wanting to get into music podcasts, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And Law had asked about a boot review.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all got a bunch of other things going on that are outside of our BMX bubble that are in our daily lives. And I don't know what your demographic for the show is. I don't think mine is the 14-year-old kids listening. I think it's the 25 to 30 plus club.
Yep, I'd say mine on Anchor says something similar. Like it's the old heads that are listening to us.
So, you know, some of my more popular episodes, I would say, was Sam from Mexico, New York.
That sounds very familiar.
About half the episode was talking about BMX, and then the whole second half was talking about running a farm.
Yes, that one was so good.
Right, because you're drawn in. There's something, we all know BMX. Talking about BMX is like whatever. Posting good clips and doing stuff is whatever. There's good clips every day, all day.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get something else, it's kind of nice.
Right. And I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I mean, it stems back to how I felt as a kid. And I'm kind of like reevaluating that viewpoint as an older person. But it still still rings the same to me. It's like, you could be a FedEx driver. But if you ride BMX, I'm interested. What's up? How do you do it? You know? You're a pizza delivery guy, but you're a BMXer? Cool. Let's hear your story. Oh, you do, woodworking? The fact that you ride just made you that much more interesting and versus like random person who's doing woodworking. I'd be more interested in the BMX or woodworking person.
Yeah. Did you listen to the Trash Fish episode that I had?
I think.
His name is going to escape me right now, but Trash Fish is his Instagram.
He cleans out the river?
Yeah, he used to ride BMX. He
Yes.
got hurt, and he got into kayaking on the side.
Yeah.
And then, he just kayaks all the time and then pulls trash out.
Yeah. And he's doing something good. He's being active.
But it's a good episode because he's got something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something he's passionate about. I think that's the key. It's not that you don't have things to talk about. It's do you have a passion?
Right. That's a very good point. You need to find passionate people to talk to. And some people might agree to a podcast and not even be passionate. I'm sure. Or they just don't know how to talk or get the message going yet. I'll be the first to say I still don't know how to fucking talk. I'm working my way through it,
Yeah.
So
you also get people that want to be on because they want to be on, and you're like, that's cool. But now I've got a lot of work on the front end because I have to come up with something for you to talk about.
Right. So they're just they're eager to be on, but there's nothing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a clout thing that they just want their name put out there. And I'm okay with that. I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty obvious when you listen to the episode if you don't have anything to talk about and you're not passionate.
But, if they're coming towards you and it feels that way, they should be knowing what they're walking towards.
Well, I like to ask, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
And if you can't answer it, it's going to be a tough ride.
Yeah.
Cuz if you don't know what you want to talk about, you also don't know what you don't want to talk about.
Right.
And sometimes with certain situations, I don't know if you've had any of these, where it's like, is there anything we can't say?
No, I always ask people before we even get to recording if there's anything that's off the table you don't want to talk about, you want me to shy around, and no one's told me anything so far. I mean, it's crazy. But after doing cams, after being on for 3 hours, it's easy to kind of be clear-ish in an hour. In 3 hours, you might have not correctly said something. And I woke up in the middle of the night after that pod because I was like, fuck, I left out this one little detail about creating and I wish I would have said more about how my shin has a hole in it and that's why I like top tube pads so much. But I didn't. So it's I get it when you miss stuff.
Yeah.
I
feel like it's hard in a way to talk about yourself too after you've been doing a podcast for so long.
Yeah, you're like, holy shit, someone wants to know something about me? Fuck. And then
and you've let it all out in little blips here and there.
Yeah, now you're trying to pull them all together into one scroll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your timeline's all skewed because you've said the same story 7 times in little, but you've told it for different reasons each time.
Yep, exactly.
I do some of those solo ones, and I never really like the way they come out, but I always get good feedback on them, which is interesting, especially the driving ones. And I think it's probably because my brain isn't so focused on exactly what I'm saying. It's more focused on the road.
Yeah.
So you can, I don't know. You get more like pure thought rather than curated thought.
Yeah. I mean, half the time I've ever thought of an idea for a podcast, especially when I first started, I was driving a lot, was driving. You'd be sitting there and you're like, man, what the fuck? You know, you just like, it just hits your head out of nowhere.
All right, so this is going to be, someone's going to steal this, and I'm totally fine with it because I don't do enough road trips for this to matter anymore. But when we were going 4 and 5 people deep on trips a lot, this recorder right here, I wanted to mic everyone up in the car for the whole drive and just get all the random conversations that you're talking about and then edit them down later.
Yeah.
Into, like, this is the whole car cast or something.
You know what? That sounds like real world meets props. Like if props was a little bit more than the static interview and more mic'd up.
And real.
Yeah. That'd be sick.
I mean, that's a whole other side to that interview setup of props, but
yeah.
You know, you answer a question and they tell you, no, you got to re-record that. Here's what you need to say.
Really?
I've heard stories.
Jeez. The BMX oligarchy.
Yeah.
We can shy away from that if you'd like. It's up to you.
Oh, I mean, yeah. We'll stay away. I think I've said enough for people to know what's going on. But no, I felt like it would be just a cool thing because we all have dumb stories and dumb ideas in the car. Like, oh, one that always comes up, internal joke with some friends is if you got a flatbed truck and you start riding away and do a 180, you land forwards.
Yeah.
Just because of relative
Yeah.
motion. But, like, you know, every time you see a flatbed truck, you start joking about doing that, and would you rather 180 on the truck and fakie hop off?
When it goes and pulls out.
Yeah. Because you'd think you want to just drop off, but then you'd be riding fakie.
Yeah.
Like, all of it, it's just a hilarious thought. Now you're going to think that next time you pass a flatbed truck.
Yeah. I always ponder about, like, fakey shit. Like, similar shit, like turning around out of 180s. Like, there's, like, I would say probably between 4 and 8 different ways of turning around out of fakie. And that's not including tricks. That's just, like, how you turn around. You can do it right foot, left foot, hop, no hop, slide.
Yep.
And it's just
cabbage plant.
Cabbage plant, what's that?
When you put your foot down on a half cab. It's a joke.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good name for it. Cabbage plant. How'd that come up?
It's one of our friends used to call it that.
Really?
Just anytime he would mess up his rollout or half cab, put his foot down, just call it out as cabbage plant.
That's cool.
Then he started doing them on purpose, and you're like, something's not right about it, dude. It's like no matter what you do, if you half cab and put your foot down, it always looks bad.
And now we got people that's a whole trick genre.
But if you could do it like with a curb or something where you half cab, foot plant, and then maybe 180 back out of it, like full cab, fast plant thing.
Exactly.
There might be ways to make it work, but when you just do it and you call it a trick when it's not a trick, it looks bad. Mm-hmm. And it was always flat ground.
Dude, before I could bunny hop, I used to just ride around and put my front peg on stuff just so I could hear the metal. And I was like, oh, I'm almost cool.
What'd you call it?
I didn't call it anything, but...
What do you call it now? Because I've got a name for it.
So I don't call it anything with the front, but when I would do an endo and drag my back peg on it, a la Behringer, which I didn't know he did those, and then one day I saw it like a video, and I was like, holy shit, he turned that into a trick. But I would call it a lazy ice pick. So I would probably call that a lazy toothpick. Okay. Where one wheel's on the ground and one grind device is rubbing.
So I always called the back peg one the Behringer grind just because.
Right. Yeah.
I always call the front one a poser grind.
Poser grind. Yeah, that's a good name
But
for it.
they're super fun to do on like a flat ledge, like a curved one, because you can hard 180 out of them.
Oh, yeah.
So you can actually curve around it, and your back peg never runs into it, and then just 180 out.
Yeah.
But then you mix that with... Do you know who James Miliota is?
Mm-mm.
He's a Maine dude. And he used to ride for Fly Bikes. He's got a whole bunch of like long solo cut videos that are super sick. He used to do 3 taps and then land with his front wheel on like a curved bench or something and run the whole thing around like that with his back wheel on the ground still and then do tricks out. So it's kind of like you can 3 tap into that.
What? Here.
So, all right. So
You need a bench?
No, we'll call this the bench.
Okay.
Just be like 3 tap and land like this.
Ah, right.
And then like whatever out. A super cool aesthetic.
Yeah, that's the new shit. I feel like that.
James's riding was way ahead of his time.
Oh, so
I like love his riding.
So that was like, what year was that when he was doing that shit?
He's still doing that. So.
Mm.
But
That's cool.
it was around in the come up days, like when the come up was early. He was on Fly.
There was a new Merit video of some guys doing some. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like a thing that's taking a wave now. Some like weird flowy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of his style comes from the fact that there's nothing up there.
Oh yeah.
He's Portland, Maine dude.
So it's just like fishing towns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Super cool though. If you like, you'll have to check some of his stuff out at some point.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And then I forget exactly where I was going with that one, but I don't care. It's whatever.
Fast plants and tricks.
Oh yeah, and just like I was saying poser grind hard one. So like that's where I was going to integrate that. You could 3 tap into the poser grind on a curved ledge.
Oh yeah, and now you got something. The beginning of whatever. You know, you could 3 tap into a poser grind, and then lift up into a Smith, and then shit.
Or even like, you know how you do like pump ups on a quarter where you like go rock quick and then up to manual?
Yeah.
You had like poser grind tap up into grinds too.
So
I have one of those I filmed at one point that was, it was a flat out ledge with like a long 2-step.
Yeah.
And I manualed into poser grind, pull off, drop nose 180 on the 2-step.
So like doink, tap, spin.
Yeah.
Nice. That's
weird.
Cool.
It's real weird. I have no idea where that clip is.
It's like a 3-piece biscuit right there or something. Like that.
It might be on Instagram. It might have just been saved and now it's lost.
You know, I do a poser grind. This is actually, I get compliments every time I do it. I shouldn't say that. It sounds really full of myself. I shouldn't say that. But whenever I do it, people are like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'll go up a quarter pipe and I can like doink my front peg without taking my bike off the quarter pipe. It's just like a weird carve and you can do it. That's it. But
yeah, I love doing that. Do you know James Weston? He's a Binghamton dude. Well, kind of like a Wego, New York, and then he lives in Austin right now.
His name sounds sort of familiar. Was he in props?
He might have been on one of the like Gypsy Caravan tours.
Oh, okay.
James
Weston.
He would do that with his handlebar. Like he could ride up the quarter and get his bar end to grind and then like drop back in.
On the coping?
Yeah. But like, well, on the deck behind coping, you know. So it's like you have to let go of your grip a little bit. So
like a carve?
Just like what you're saying with scraping front peg while your bike stays on the quarter pipe.
Yeah. So like that?
Yeah. Yeah, just like, well, no, over the deck though. So it'd be
like that.
Like this.
Oh, like he'd literally grind the side of his bars, like not the end of his bars, but like the...
So it's, yeah, a little of both sometimes.
Jeez.
I also watched that dude, like, you know how people hook their handlebar and go down rails?
Yeah.
Watch him do up rails that way. Up a stair set.
No way.
Mellow, long stair set.
Wow, that's a banger.
He just does it dicking around.
I mean, I would put a fresh pair of bars on just for that clip if I was him. I don't understand. I gotta see that.
I never saw a clip of it. I was there when he was doing it.
How did his bars look after? Still straight?
He was always running real weird bars. Like,
So you couldn't even tell if they were straight?
like I think it was this clip. You know the full pipe at HCS?
Yeah.
Before it was cut back like it is now,
Mm-hmm.
it was the full pipe all the way out. He 3'd off the top of that to flat. But he was just running CW bars from like the 80s. And then he had some aluminum power light bars on after that. And like, what are you doing?
Wow.
But awesome. Love it.
Does he have any video parts out or anything like that?
Yeah, he's got a full section in, BMX Super Fun Time, which was a video John Wally put out from the Binghamton scene. I have a full part in that. He's got a full part in that. You've seen my part from that, I think, because it's the one where I do the triple rail ride, side to side to side.
Yeah, that does sound familiar. Fuck.
Which that clip always bums me out a little bit, because it was actually when I could bar spin.
And you wish you did the bar out?
Dude, I did the triple rail ride over and over and over, and if you watch the clip, the pop at the end was for a bar.
Oh.
But it's the only good one that I have a good clean hop out of, too, that wasn't like... I'm like...
Yo.
Like, I love this, but I don't know.
Bar spins are so fucking hard, man. They're so hard.
If you don't do them all the time, you lose them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There was a manual pad at Blackout at Kink, and we would ride it on lunch breaks when it was like real cold out. And I think Phil Damadia had his camera out, and we were trying to get something stupid on it. It was like right before we were filming with our phones too. It could have been just on our phones, but I just know that it was fisheye video. But yeah, I think it was Phil filming, because I remember feeling really, really shitty and sucky, because we had it was like 3 manual pads in a row.
Yep.
And I was trying to do it to bar, Manny bar. And the manual pads are like 2 inches high. So it's literally just feet of ability, not really fear. But you still have to break through a fear barrier to chuck them. And every time I've ever manual barred, I ended up accidentally getting a good pop, because just the way everything just works out. I don't always get a good pop. In this triple manual one, I didn't get a good pop. And I'm 2 inches off the ground. I didn't get a good pop. I probably caught both thumbs on the bends of my bars, and knees and elbows completely locked. So it was the grossest bar ever. But I was like, but I did do Manny before I did it.
Yeah. Dude, and that's the funny thing. You just listened to and texted me about that Defining Success podcast.
Yeah.
And that's the type of stuff that I was getting at. We're so hypercritical of the way that we do things that it's you borderline can't even live with the success sometimes.
Mm-hmm. It's a weird, funky headspace that kind of BMX puts you in.
The way I always put it, trying to explain it to outsiders more than ourselves, is BMX is all about precision, repeatability, and control. You want to be able to do the exact same thing the exact same way every time. Yeah. And when you don't, it bums you out. And when you know what the expectation of perfection is, and you know how you can do it. So when you do it less than that, it bums you out.
Also, you're seeing, especially now more and more, you're seeing so many people figure out how to ride. And it's nobody can ride really good. Like, everybody's ability to ride is just their ability. It's like no one really has a superpower. It's just kind of like Garrett probably practiced a lot. That's probably what it was, you know?
I think that, and then like our generation and older, it wasn't something that
The repeatability wasn't as much.
well, it wasn't something that the necessarily athletically inclined kids would do.
Mm-hmm.
It was the outsiders that didn't fit in, kind of fell into riding BMX or skateboarding and stuff. So
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have the athletic elite that started riding BMX. You got people that were clunky and making stuff work for themselves. And then you get to an era where like BMX is in the X Games, and the people that are seeing it right at the beginning of the X Games start getting into it. Edwin being an example of that. But once you're seeing it and you're seeing what's possible and you're seeing that it's cool as a sport, you start to see like the naturally athletic kids are now semi-involved in skateboarding and BMX.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think we've all seen someone, and they tend to come and go fast. Like, they don't stick around for a while. And maybe it's because they didn't have to work for it. But
Yeah.
they start riding, and they're just naturally gifted at everything they do. But they would be good at whatever they picked up.
Right.
Like, they could hop on a soccer field and probably have decent footwork. Their coordination is there, I guess,
Right.
is really the point. You can refine it. But if you take someone that's not naturally coordinated versus someone that's naturally coordinated, I don't care who practices more.
Yeah.
One of them is always going to be better.
Right. Yeah, there is that naturally coordinated part, because I would say I am not naturally coordinated. I will say Mark Burnett definitely strikes me as naturally coordinated. I've gotten to see him ride in person a couple of times here, and oh my God, it was like, or like when I saw Brian Yeagle ride FDR and Clinton Reynolds was there, and I was just like, no fucking way. There's this whole upper echelon to this shit that I am nowhere near, and I'll never be near. And it's like, you can, and it's like, that's a little bit of like a negative self-talk, because I don't want anyone listening to this to not feel like they can get somewhere, because truth of the matter is, if you try really, really hard, you could probably get to where you want to go with BMX, and because that's kind of like the cool part, is like you kind of teach yourself, as it's a choose your own adventure, and you are writing the book, and you are teaching yourself what the book's going to be about. It's fucking sick.
Absolutely. And I don't disagree with you on that. I think that, you know, I don't think the way that the current setup of everything is structured, that the kid that's like kind of progressing but never really all that naturally coordinated is going to make it to the X Games, because they're not going to invite him.
Right.
But can he have a good time at a jam? And that's absolutely.
Yeah, and what's awesome about jams is seeing the when a trick is, when you have a jam and everybody's on a rail and everybody's taking turns, a make is a make. It doesn't matter if you were scrappy, if you were slow, it doesn't matter. Everyone's cheering you because you landed something, and that's kind of sick.
Or, all right, and I'm going to give you even another example then. You get kids that, I'm thinking of a person in particular, and I don't want to come off as like bashing him, so I don't really want to drop his name.
Mm-hmm.
But you get dudes that show up to jams, and then if someone is better than them, they like sit on the sideline and don't participate. And then you've got dudes like the dude I'm thinking of that it doesn't matter how good the competition is, he's just out there trying. And even if it's like not landing stuff or doing, you know, mediocre at best stuff, he's probably having more fun than you. And he's out there getting it. And like, how can you hate on that?
Right. There is no hate.
So, well, I mean, people make fun of him a lot.
Really?
Because he's not that good.
I mean,
But
if they're enjoying themselves.
dude, like, you're sitting on the sideline talking crap about the dude that's out there getting it at the jam.
Right.
So, like, I don't know. I think he's having more fun than you, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think in the moment, like, what's it matter what your skill level is? And it's to your point that it's a choose your own adventure, and he's choosing to ride.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you can ask for in a person.
Yeah. Yeah. And that BMX Outcast thing you said is really interesting, because I think that's probably a topic for another time.
It could be. I mean, and it's a broad generalization that even the comment that they don't typically stay around for a while because they haven't had to work for it.
Mm-hmm.
Huge painting with a broad brush.
Right.
You know, like, there's people that do stick around. There's also people that they ride for a couple months. They produce some wild content. They do some wild stuff. And you don't hear from them for a year. And then they show back up. They do some more wild stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gone again.
Right.
And or you see them go through some, like, life struggles and real life struggles, and they do come back to BMX, or they never really left, but it wasn't their, like, driving passion for a moment because life struggles.
Right.
But then they're in it, and, like, it doesn't matter. They were the naturally gifted one. They didn't really have to work for it initially.
Yeah.
But they work for it now, and everything they do, they love. Like, super down with that.
There's so much beauty in the people that we know that are sick, that, like,
those are the people I want to talk to.
yeah. Respect to that. I feel that. Oh yeah.
But it's like, you know, a lot of that, I got to drive an hour or so. And then if we're driving an hour or so, today worked out great because it's raining.
Yeah.
If we're driving an hour or so, like, do you really want to sit down and record, or do you want to try to catch a session?
Right.
And, oh, maybe we'll get to this later, and you don't get to it.
Yeah. I thought about setting the microphones up on, like, the trunk of a car and having a flat rail session. Like, if it was not rainy today. I was like, maybe that would be cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to look at, I'm pretty sure they make some, like, wireless receivers to go Bluetooth.
Oh shit, that would be sick.
Because then we could Bluetooth lapel mic.
And it'd be like,
and we could actually have a session, and we don't even have to be next to each other.
Yeah, that would be sick. And you could use those for the road trip idea too.
Yeah, it'd be easier than having wires strung throughout the car.
BMXers and wires. Those two don't mix.
They don't. Well, and it's a hassle to set up, right? So, like, as soon as you get set up and you start driving, someone's either got to pee or wants to stop and get a drink. Like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I got.
And half the jokes happen in the gas station about people or things, or like,
did you see that fucking guy? He had a mullet. Crazy.
Or, I mean, running joke that everyone talks about, but gas station sushi.
Yeah.
Why is it there and who's buying it?
Yeah.
I'm not that much of a gambler.
No, not me either. I gambled enough on gas station hot dogs.
Right, but I mean, that's got a reasonable assurance that they were pre-cooked.
Exactly.
And then they were heated again.
Yeah.
Gas station sushi, I know it's typically crab and not actually fish.
Oh.
But still.
Yeah.
It's sushi at a gas station. It's not right.
No, yeah, that should be banned.
If anyone has had gas station sushi, I want to hear from you.
Yeah, that would be a cool episode.
But I don't trust you.
Oh, shit. That's good.
That's funny.
Yeah, can I take a piss real quick?
Yeah. We'll just pause this.
Cool.
Okay, Back recording part 2.
Check, check.
We got 1 bar on the battery now.
1 bar. Is that enough?
I don't know, we'll wing it.
Cool.
It kind of pops between 1 and 2.
If it goes out, you still get everything that was up until that point?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll shut off while it still has enough power to
Like finish the file.
finish the file.
Sweet. Okay.
It'll turn back on a couple of times too.
Ah, that's nice.
You know how AAA batteries are.
Yeah.
They like kind of go for a while.
Yeah. That's a feature, not a bug.
It might even have a backup battery. I'm not sure on that.
Right. Probably like a little.
Yeah, like the little watch battery thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it does or not.
Yeah, so where were we?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We were talking about other stuff that we're interested in.
Well, that was one of our topics, and we were kind of weaving our way there.
Yeah.
Slowly. That was the discussion. So
Yeah, people that BMX and that also do other things.
little bit of backstory to this episode, I guess, is I kind of solo recorded this, and I didn't like the way it was done. Didn't feel super good about it. And then Matt and I were talking, and it's like, well, this would be a way better episode to do with someone. So just kind of made it happen quick. So if I don't post that original file, it'll probably be the first episode I've scrapped.
Wow.
And even some of them I've been like, I was going to scrap this, but you might as well listen anyway.
Right. Yeah, might as well post something to post.
So I don't know if I'll scrap it entirely or just pull little bits out of it,
Yeah,
maybe.
you might be able to pull chunks.
But the whole thing started. The last episode, I wrote mostly about
Really?
a month before I recorded it.
Which one was that?
The defining success one.
Yeah. I was
skate
gonna
parks
say.
are like gay bars.
Yeah.
Which, okay, this is gonna be knock on wood. No one's complained about that yet.
It was an awesome
I figured
subject title, but
it
I
was a
didn't.
hook.
Yeah.
It's rather self-explanatory why I say it, but I expected 2 backlashes potentially. One was the obvious that, you shouldn't be saying that, something like that, without having any context.
Right.
And then the other, I thought, from the BMX crowd was going to take it as skate parks are lame, go ride street. That was I expected that one to be the initial angering point.
And no one even took it either way. It was just kind of like neutral.
I mean, I don't know if anyone listened to it. So, I haven't checked the analytics, but my listenership tends to be pretty low these days. Because I haven't been posting.
What was your listenership at its peak?
Probably 150 to 300 views or listens per episode between Anchor and YouTube.
You said 150 to 300?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess you can't see how many people subscribe.
Well, and if they, the subs kind of don't matter on... They matter on YouTube. They don't matter at all on Anchor. Unless they have it auto-downloading. But if you've got it set to auto-download, it counts as a listen whether they listened or not.
Yeah, I always thought counting downloads was weird. Because you can't really tell. Because sometimes somebody accidentally has their laptop set up incorrectly.
Right, they can't tell if they listen either, because now you're listening to the downloaded file, you're not streaming it.
Right.
There may be back-end ways to tell that, but you'd have to have the data transmission and sharing and everything on. And
so you could probably run a percentage type algorithm on that and be like, well, we know it got this many downloads and we know it got this many plays. So we put these two numbers together and divide by magic, and you
Yeah.
get something you can wrap your head around.
Well, and I can kind of figure it out because if I look at the numbers, my audio only Anchor one, and wherever that's distributed, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, all those like other podcast apps are all pushed through that one. Those numbers are always higher, like double or triple what YouTube is.
All the
But if I poll people as to where they listen, it's YouTube.
oh.
So either people aren't responding to the polls, which is possible, or there's 3 to 4 times as many people have it set to auto download, but no one's actually listening on that platform.
Well, are you familiar with Balaji, the Indian dude?
No.
I thought I might have sent one of his podcasts. So he has an 8-hour-long podcast with Lex Friedman, and it is so goddamn good. I cannot recommend it more because it's just a stream of consciousness with no or anything. He just goes for 8 hours. I think they took breaks and cut it up, but he goes and he explains how to solve a lot of things. But one of the things he mentions, if I could pull one little piece of rice out of that 8-hour-long podcast, is that he talks about how India is the next place. There's so many people coming online. I remember being on Twitter when Twitter first started and being annoyed at the person screaming about cigarettes behind me and hate tweeting about it. And it's I got over that phase and eventually cringe looking back on it. But it's what we don't understand is that there's constant new waves of people coming into this.
Mm-hmm.
And so what could be happening is that there could be riders in other countries listening to your stuff, but might not be following you on Instagram to see the poll.
Yeah, no, I'm not discounting any of those necessarily,
You're right.
But
yeah,
it's just interesting.
yeah.
It's an interesting thing to see.
It's where's that coming from?
Yeah, and maybe no one's listening.
Yeah.
And also, then you run into how much of it do you have to listen to for it to count as a view or a listen?
Mm-hmm. Did you see YouTube does that thing now where it shows where the most... Yeah. I mean, you've always been able to see it in the back end, but now you can kind of see on the front end where the highest viewed points of videos are.
Right, but then when you see that too... All right, so we'll jump ahead. Some of the other stuff that we listen to and watch that are outside of BMX, I might not fully care about, but I'm it's just a way to pass the time, or kind of interested.
Yeah.
You just look at it and you go, all right, I'm going to watch this part of this video.
Right.
And then you're adding to that metric that now it's artificially inflated even higher because I saw that's the part everyone's watching.
Mm-hmm. It's if you had a cassette tape, and you didn't know where everybody was fast forwarding to, you would never fast forward to it unless it was word of mouth.
Right.
Right. Or if well,
even if it's in the comments, here, this is the best spot.
Yeah.
You'll probably listen until you get there, or watch until you get there.
Yeah.
But when it's no, this is clearly where everyone watches. Why am I watching all the filler?
Mm-hmm. I watched this one video yesterday, and I don't know what it was, but it was the comments on it were I came here for this and some total clickbait. And I'm yeah, that was clickbait. It was it's so weirdly navigated around it that even I didn't get it right away. And I was yeah, they kind of did just skate around everything. I was what the fuck?
Everything is clickbait.
It's really gross.
News headlines and everything are now clickbait. Instead of just saying what happened, I guess when the headline is so descriptive that it tells you the whole story and you don't have to go read the thing, it really doesn't help them get ad revenue.
Right.
So they need it to be like, oh my God, you won't believe this thing that happened. And then, they're playing on your curiosity. But do I care?
Right. It's like, holy fuck, Colt just made pink tires.
You won't believe the colorway this new brand put out. And you're like, what? But yeah, if the headline was Colt releases new pink version of tire, you're like, next.
Yeah.
But they need all those ads to run on every single page.
Yeah. New unnamed rider comes out with pink signature tire. You're like, you don't know who it is and you don't know what the tire looks like, so now you're intrigued to click on it.
Mm-hmm.
But
are we really? I mean, how many have to let you down before you just stop clicking altogether?
Right, but the issue I find now is so much content, whether it's meaningful or not, will have clickbaity titles, and sometimes the video itself will have a good sustenance. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah,
but it'll just not. But the title will just be whack, and I'm like, I get it. You're probably trying to appeal to like the 13-year-olds, but or anybody who's just knee-jerk reacting, clicking. But
or is there more back-end metrics that we don't know about?
There probably is a lot more. You're probably right.
And like those types of titles tend to draw more traffic, so then YouTube promotes them higher if you have a title like that.
But like Bobby Canode was talking about how his boss doesn't actually do real high view count, but they get paid decent off YouTube because of the market in which those ads are being submitted to. So if BMX took a page out of Andrew and Matt's hat, they would gear some of their stuff towards people who have mortgages, and then maybe the YouTube ad revenue would pay more. And we could get somewhere, motherfuckers.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know if mine even runs ads or is I don't know if mine's monetized.
I after listening to the Augie pod on Canode, it was really eye-opening. I was like, oh shit, so you can kind of like sort of make money off this. But I went and checked my YouTubes, and I have to have 1,000 subscribers.
That's what I thought. You have to. There's like minimums before it'll monetize anything.
Yeah, and it's like I'm at like 140, and I'm like thinking to myself, that's kind of like a lot, but it's really not. But it feels like it's a lot to me because I've never known anything different.
It's a lot compared to, think about your typical user versus people that are trying to be on there.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you using it? If you're just like showing your friends some stuff and it's a place to upload it to, then it's whatever.
Yeah.
If you're trying to run it like a business, yeah, that's like not good at all.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat as you. I think 140, 150, something like that. Yeah. But like, are we doing all we can do to promote it and grow it either? No.
Right.
I've always said with GrindWorks that if it reached the point that it had to be a full-time job, I'd probably walk away from it. I don't necessarily want it to be. I want it to facilitate doing fun stuff for myself and my friends. I want it to facilitate good things for the scene. I want it to help grow the scene.
Right.
But that is able to happen because I have a full-time job that pays my bills.
Yes. You can. Yes.
So, like, I can leech money off of myself to facilitate doing cool things for the scene because it's partially offset by whatever GrindWorks does or doesn't generate, which is usually not anything. It's a losing venture year over year, but...
Yeah, I'm at that point now where I'm trying to figure out what to do because I want to keep my side project as a side project, but if more money comes through this coming year than last year, I will be popping up on, the freshly hired tax man's radar. So, okay, now I'm at a point where like I still want to keep this as a hobby. But when you start thinking in your head about like, all right, trademarking, all right, tax ID number. Like it's easy it's easy for me to go down a rabbit hole of like becoming big BMX brand when reality is like, just like you said, if it came to a thing where I'd have to go full time, I don't know if I would. You know, I would have to be making really good money in order to do so, and it's like I don't think it's ever going to do that.
Or do you become more exclusive where like, you know, okay, yeah, I could do this more and more and more and really run myself into the ground over it. Or I could make my stuff a tier nicer, charge a lot more money for it, and do less of it.
Mm-hmm. But either way, you're going to hit that money mark.
Yeah, well, you're hitting a money mark. The money mark's not really the concern on my end. But the tax thing is funny because, like, you can only claim a loss year over year so many times as a new business before it's like...
Before that raises a red flag too, or...
Well, yeah, and a lot of the things I've been told, you know, when I was first starting out looking into all of this was I was told, don't start a business. Don't register it as an LLC. Don't do this. Don't do that. And every time I'm like, why? Mm-hmm. And the answer that I was given was because you're not a business. You're operating like a business, but you're a hobbyist. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to have an LLC to run as a sole proprietor. If you make money, you have to file it on your taxes.
So either way, you're filing it, so it doesn't really matter if it's that official.
Right, but like you can't claim the losses in the same way. Mm-hmm. If you spend your sole proprietor money to host a jam, you spent that money. Mm-hmm. Big deal. As an LLC, if you start, you know, hey, we brought in this much money and then we spent triple it in giving product away and trips and everything, all in the... It's a guise of self-promotion almost. If you're like, well, yeah, I took my homies on a trip to Chicago and we got a hotel and we ate dinner and we did all this and the gas was paid for and we got a rental car and that was paid for, and I write it all off because I put out a couple Instagram edits and a YouTube video about it.
Yeah.
As promotion, is that cool versus like the $1,000 I made for the year?
Yeah. So what do you mean? What do you think? I mean,
I'm saying it's like a write-off.
Yeah.
But so what my tax guy told me multiple times was that even though you're making money, it's a hobby. It's not a business.
Right.
And don't get the two confused, because you can claim a loss to grow a brand or a company the first couple of years. But what's your end goal?
Right.
At some point, you have to start making money, or they're going to come in and go, you can't do this.
So they would stop you?
Well,
or not stop you, but they would give you
more
a
or
letter?
Less, if you really were doing that, to go, hey, look, I'm going to create a brand. I'm going to make minimal money off of it, but I'm going to use it as an ability to write off a bunch of trips and fun for us all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's fraud.
That's considered fraud? Wow. But if you made... So what if
I mean, you can be trying. You can be legitimately trying.
Yeah, what if your intention is like, I want to be able to afford to...
But at some point, you got to cut your losses.
Yeah.
At some point, you're just exploiting it.
Right.
And if your goal is to not grow a brand, and your goal is to do this on the side and have fun, then keep in mind it's a hobby. And that's been the general recommendation. Wow. So, like, even though I technically could take all these trips, even as, like, sole proprietor type stuff, you could take them, you could write them off, you can justify how it's a business expense. But at what point is it hairy? And I just don't. Like, I should to a degree, but, like, deep down, I know it's just... Like, we went on this trip because it was going to be fun. Mm-hmm. That's why we did it.
Right.
And if we're doing it because it's going to be fun versus doing it because, well, it's a mission.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a fine line and a big gray area, I feel like.
Yeah.
But, okay, it's
because everyone's situation is different with that area.
And I think as long as you were really restrictive in how much you actually spent, if you were breaking even after the first 5 years, I don't know if it would be a problem. But if you're claiming losses to offset your income,
right, you can't be
on your
claiming
taxes
losses.
because you went on fun trips with your friends, that's where it's a problem.
Right. Gotcha.
So you have to be growing, more or less, for it to be a reality in that sense.
Right.
But it's been interesting because it's like, it's sole proprietor, but it should be more. I always feel like it should be more.
Mm-hmm. It's teetering on it. It's like the next stage.
Right, but at what point do you go, you got to take what I'm just saying, if it got to that point, I wouldn't go full time with it. I'd rather walk away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a business.
Right. That's a good way to look at it. So, what if, for example, I'll use myself as the example because it's easiest for me to wrap my head around it. I've been doing design work for Animal. It's fucking, I can't believe I'm sitting here even saying that. But I would like to do more design work.
Yeah.
So basically, if I, as a graphic designer, as a freelancer, would I want to turn myself into an LLC or anything like that?
So, all right. So that becomes its own separate thing because I'm in the same boat with stuff I would like to do, or what I see myself doing moving forward with GrindWorks would be, if I chose to go this route, I would want to do some level of like actual industrial design and third-party engineering for companies and like consulting type stuff, which you need an entity for that, and it has to be a liability, like limited liability, where you're a step away from any liability the company has.
Right. Wow.
So at that point, what you would be doing, so in your case with graphic design, you may set up or you may set up like something else as your graphic design entity.
Mm-hmm.
And then the would just be a division of that where you can have this other income stream into that.
Yeah.
But it's not a primary.
Yeah. And then, because like my freelance, it's like, I'm not necessarily gearing up to do the freelance to take over my job. It's just, I get to do it when I get to do it. So then.
But it will be profitable. It's going to be the key. Like, there's no way it won't be profitable.
Right. So if that was even registered as an LLC, it wouldn't be as big of a deal because it would be more profitable.
Yeah, you don't have to be like targeting $1 million a year or anything, but it is a business because it will make money. And I don't know how your approach to the is and has been, but like I said with GrindWorks, it's been to facilitate doing cool things for the scene.
Yeah, I think about trying to do an event, but it's like the GrindWorks Jam is the event. Like to me, that's my favorite event. If I had to say that the had an event, I'd say it would be your event, you know? Like it's that cool. It's that fucking cool.
Yeah, and I didn't do one this year.
Yeah. I mean,
you
did that little jam, that street jam.
I did. There's a couple of things with that. One, the Pittsburgh Jam turned into this abhorrent fiasco because of drama.
Mm-hmm.
And like I mentioned before, that the scene appears very cohesive, but it's got little factions. And I don't know how it got as bad as it got, but when I left, we had talked with the one crew, mentioned, hey, this is what we're going to do. I want you to formally announce at this year's event that next year you guys will be taking it over. Because you're the only other crew down here that's doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. And some other people got upset that, well, you know, are they really the right people to be taking over the GrindWorks Jam, blah, blah, blah. I said, it's not the GrindWorks Jam anymore. It's their jam. That's what we agreed on.
Yeah.
So.
And that one wasn't at a specific place either. That one's not like the HCS one.
Right.
So it's like anybody can throw the fucking jam.
Well, so these two groups went back and forth until both of them canceled it. And a third group came in and threw a jam. And it was like, I'm okay.
That's life.
But I was like, at one point going, are you really going to make me throw this jam that I don't want to throw from New York? Like, kids couldn't get along, so dad had to come home.
Some responsible adult had to come in. Yeah.
But, like, I'm glad that something happened, but what'll happen next year, I've got no clue. And I know some stuff has happened. Those groups have worked out their kinks. They're like, as far as I know, everyone's cool.
Oh, cool.
But I'm also a couple levels detached from that at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So
you got your other shit. You got other shit to worry about.
Right. So then,
and you do a lot too. On top of having as much as you do, you still do a lot. You still make it a point to be out there and to share. And I don't know if anyone gives you enough credit for that.
I don't look for it, so I don't know if it's out there or not. But
somebody needs to say it. Is all I'm saying. Because like,
I'll take it.
BMX is an illegitimate father to itself, and the more responsible men we can have, the more responsible people we can have, in general, the better.
So, thank you. With the Binghamton Jam, obviously HCS has had like a slew of things happening.
Yeah.
And I've not said too much about this. I'm relatively in the know. Derek is the person that I need to talk to and get the full backstory on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But he's waiting for resolution still on certain things before I think he even really wants to talk about it.
Absolutely, that makes sense.
He was hopeful to have everything resolved. He was hopeful, and like this would have been, I think, 20 years open for HCS. So he wanted to hold some sort of jam, like a 20-year jam.
Yeah.
Well, he's still working through some of the details on that. We're clearly past the time that we could do that. But I, kind of figured if you want to do a 20-year jam, you should do it. I don't want to... I will help and I will promote, but it should be your thing, not mine. And then we can pair it with a street ride or something. We'll just do both, whatever works. Didn't really work out. Fast forward up to like the quick pop-up jam that we threw. We had been talking, Cam and myself, about doing some sort of like backyard barbecue and a quick little ride. And he's got some stuff going on in his life right now that it makes it hard to plan. And I kept kind of throwing it out there like, hey, when is a good time? We need to do something. When? Give me a date, pick a time. Like, that's the hardest part of throwing a jam. Yeah. If you try to find a time on a calendar that works great, you're never going to even pick one because we're all too busy.
Yeah.
But if you just go, hey, 3 months out, 2 months out, whatever, like this is the date, this is the time, figure it out.
Right.
You can work for it. And somehow it all comes together. So I kept pushing for that, like when. You want to do this, when? And I asked that week, when do you want to do it? like this weekend or the next, week prior. I never got an answer on that. And I waited right up until the last day. And I'm like, okay, can't wait anymore. We're just doing it this way. No sponsors, no prizes. Only one local showed up.
Hey, that's that
a bunch of people came from out of town, but only one local.
I mean,
which is like, it is what it is. You got a day's notice.
Yeah, but that's kind of that day's notice shit is fucking cool. Like, there's this DJ dude Diplo, and he was on Twitter, and he's like, "I'm gonna be at this place, this time," and then the next tweet is like, hours later, he's sitting there like with this big ass crowd and all these people dancing. He would do like these pop-up shows where like he was basically street riding as a DJ because he was finding like under the bridge spots where it would be cool if there was like a dance club set up, and he would do it, and then he would film himself getting busted by the cops at the end too. And it turned into like a whole thing, and it creates a kind of immediacy. So I think you're onto something there. It might have felt very from the hip at first, but I think it's kind of cool.
I wasn't scared of it because I've said for years, you don't have to plan a jam.
Right.
And like, you can put as much work as you want into it. This is going to be like a recurring thing, I think, at this point. But it's all recent. So you can put as much time into planning a jam as you want, and effort, and getting sponsors and everything lined up, and there's no guarantee anyone shows up for it. And it's as much time and as much effort as you want to make it. You can throw a pop-up jam 24 hours in advance where all you do is post on Instagram one little crappy flyer. And again, there's no guarantee anyone shows up. But I guarantee you anyone that does show up will have fun riding circles in a parking lot if they choose to. Yeah.
It's like a group invite in a way,
Now, the GrindWorks Jam, back to that at HCS, like there's been year over year, that's gotten more and more fun and more crazy. I feel like a break from that has been good in a way. It's given me some time to recharge, but it's also given people a break from it so that they don't necessarily come back with high expectations.
Right.
So like last year we couldn't do it at HCS. We had to do just a street ride. This year we didn't do it at all, other than this little pop-up thing. So I think if we can do something next year, it'll be real cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it'll go as like hard as some of them have been in the past, with like getting multiple vehicles and destroying them, and like, because it started with one, then at one point we had two, and then we had two again, and like, all right, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys just had one car and you just had that little transition kicked up to it, to me that alone is just...
They got to be the right cars. Like, it's that transition meets those small sedans perfectly.
Yeah, you're walking around in the junkyard with a tape measure, just measuring the bottom door hinge to everybody's cars.
Yeah.
What's that boy doing? I don't know. He said something about tranny.
I mean, you can control it a little bit by just airing up or airing down the tires.
Oh, yeah. Right. That makes sense.
Cam always wanted to do it with the cars running and drive them.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, it's such a bad idea. You're going to run your friends over.
Yeah.
Because something's not going to go right.
Yeah, we don't need any gnarly shit happening.
Let's keep it fun.
The fucking axe, whipping the axe around is dangerous enough.
Dude, that's so good though.
It is.
The dude on that shirt was so freaking stoked on that shirt, by the way.
Awesome.
He had never seen your photo, the angle that you had. He had only seen it from like a couple other angles, so he's like, what is this?
Sweet.
That was awesome.
That was your brother, Matt, right?
No.
No? Who was it?
James something.
Oh.
James Kramer.
Sweet. Shout out to James.
He
Damn.
was the axe man on the car.
I still have the
love
screen.
that. I love that it was planned in a way, but it felt so raw in the moment. So Derek handed him the axe.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Hey, can you go cut the roof off that car so that I can overpegs it?"
Yeah.
But no one else heard that interaction. So James is just out there while people are trying to ride this car, standing on the roof of it,
Yeah.
wailing on it with this axe. It was so good.
Yeah. So, what a sight to see. And so, I don't want to bitch about stuff, but I did want to mention that I submitted a video of the second GrindWorks Jam of the last one that we did. So right when it happened, our BMX posted the Angus clip. They DM'd me and asked me for it, and they posted it. I was thinking, oh, that's kind of cool. I bet they'll want to post the full thing. I didn't film a video that encompassed the whole event. I wasn't really trying to, but I had a bunch of clips of a couple people, mostly Angus. But it was like, here's a slight little peek into this jam that ended with axes and cars, and it still didn't get posted on their site. And it was right around the time where they were talking about how they only save their Instagram posts for people who pay for
Yeah, right
stuff.
when the whole development of that was happening, and Trey was on Imprimatur talking about it. Yeah.
And it was like right as that was happening, Angus gets posted on their Instagram, which I was like stoked for Angus. I was stoked that the clip got seen. But it was like, and then like a year later, so like the year that we missed it, I resubmitted it. I was like, this happened last year, but it was really cool. Hopefully we can get some info, like hype for the next one or something. Mm-hmm. And they still didn't post it.
They posted Tom Beckman's
They did?
edit of it.
Oh, that's cool. At least something got posted.
So my understanding, and I could be wrong on some of the order of operations on this, my understanding was he submitted it and they weren't that interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Angus clip blew up. And then they came back and they're like, I guess we could be interested in that.
Wow. Huh.
So I could be totally wrong on that, but that's a...
And it's like, why? Y'all should have been knowing that this thing is fucking dope before Angus hopped on the goddamn rail. You know? The year before that, Gunny had tire rode the dip rail to bar. I think 180 bar. And it's like, come on, man.
And it's not a straight dip rail.
Yeah.
It curves and it's dipped. It was an absolute nightmare. And
it was an ellipse.
And, okay, that was the same year we did that like crooked, weird dip rail. And we also built the jank rail, where we took a bunch of pieces of pipe, smashed them with a sledgehammer, bent them between trees, kinked it all up, and then laid it out on the ground, and we're like, that'll be fun. And Derek welded it all together.
Yeah.
And made a rail out of it and put all the right supports under it. And Zach Beerley, I think he's the only one that did anything start to finish on it that wasn't just a double peg.
Oh.
Pegs hard at it.
Really?
And it was like clink, 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 hard out.
Oh, I think I remember seeing that, being like, what
like,
the fuck?
How?
That is the best part about the GrindWorks jams, because you're seeing really challenging stuff. There's easy stuff there, but there's challenging stuff. And you're seeing skill levels come through, and you really get to see it.
So here's another thing that's good about that. And I think it's just by chance. You can have a jam at that park because it's all separate spots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like if you have a jam at one of these new grind line parks, like one dude or two dudes can ride at the same time and that's it.
Right.
You have a jam at HCS and you've got pockets of creativity happening nonstop all day long, and they kind of ebb and flow from one group to another or one spot to another, almost like they're being cycled. Like this group leaves and the next group, everyone shifts like one spot.
Yeah.
But like everyone is doing their thing, and you've got probably 15 to 20 people riding all at the same time at any given point.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And it's all unique stuff. It's like stuff you've never ridden before in your life.
The horseshoe rail, I spent so much time on that thing. You know what I mean? You get to live out fantasies.
Yeah.
You know, I get to grind around a curve and it goes over grass, so I get to pretend that, you know, you get to grind over something.
So we did one event that we set a timer on. Who could go around it the most times? Blacktop to blacktop. In this period of time.
Oh, okay.
So like the first 3/4 of that, no one's even making it. And then when someone finally locks it, like you can almost do multiple in a row when you finally get it.
Right, you have to like quick remember.
I think I got 3 in a row.
Really? Damn.
And then I might have gotten 5 in that whole event or something. But it was like 20 minutes. And you land something 5 times. It's like, that's not terrible for that rail. You
No,
can ride
not
that.
at all.
You can go, someday you'll land it first try. And other days you could try it all day long and not even come close.
Yeah, it's like that.
I forget what the linear footage on that rail is, but it's like 50 or 60 feet of rail on a horseshoe, something like that.
Damn.
And you've got straight, then the bend, and then straight again. So you got to square up, or you're hooked on it and you can't come off.
Yep.
But anyway, it being in like pockets of creativity happening is what I think makes that jam so awesome. And the one downfall we have year over year on it is that we always tried to then do events in that. And it's like, as soon as you go, hey, everyone, I know you've been riding for like the last 4 hours. Let's do best trick on this or long jump over here. You just crashed it. It's like all the momentum and the energy that everyone had going is like, really?
Right.
You're like, you're better off to just watch the creativity happening. There's no ability to record all the stuff happening all at once.
Yeah, you can. It's almost like you just gotta let it go as it is, but you can kind of pour gas on it. Where, with like a megaphone, like if it kind of sort of seems like an event's happening where everyone's getting down on the roller coaster rail, I feel like you can kind of like use the megaphone to pour gas there, and you like nudge it. You can't. It's like almost like you can't pull it out and put it on the shelf, but you can kind of like push it off into space.
Right. But if you like sit there and you go, oh, everyone's riding the rail, let's do a best trick on the rail. Everyone's gonna be like, yeah, I don't know about that. Like, maybe we just wanted to session it, and now I gotta, like, try to, I don't know. I feel like we've, year over year, handled it a little bit wrong. But I also never take the mic, so I'm, like, happy that other people want to do that.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I don't like talking. Yeah, I know. No one believes that for a second.
Hey. You're trying to get a message out.
I've got too much going on that day to be the one on the megaphone.
Right.
And I don't mind it as much at HCS. I hate it at the street jam.
Yeah.
Like, I've got all the stuff on me usually.
Right.
And I'm the coordinator. I need someone else to draw the attention.
Right.
If it goes south.
Yeah, you need teamwork because you need more than one. you need more than one person in general to operate such a large squad.
Yeah. And that, so I've got a clip that I've never posted from like not the last Street Jam, but the year before, of a pretty solid altercation with security that went on for about 20 minutes.
Oh shit!
And we filmed the whole thing continuous, and it was good. But like, where do you put that clip?
Behind Patreon.
Yeah. Yeah, paywall for whoever wants to see that.
And that's the thing. It's like
it's a DVD clip is where that belongs.
Right.
It's like at the back end of a DVD.
Yeah.
Or in a bonus feature somewhere. Like, this is what really happened. Because you saw the tiny little snippet in the actual edit.
Right.
But you didn't see what went into that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that ends up, if anywhere. I was supposed to be doing a DVD, and that's like, I don't want to say no motivation, but no motivation. So, all right. I mentioned that I wrote that last episode a month ago.
Right.
It took a month to record it. Some of that was what I was talking about at the beginning of this episode, where like, or even maybe it was before we started recording, that my room is like butted against everyone else's. So if I'm talking late or recording, everyone can hear me. Plus, that like hinders your ability to have genuine thought too, especially when it's not like great. Because some of that episode wasn't great, and not like all positivity and happiness.
Right.
Just real. But I pulled it up in a hotel in Pittsburgh. Like, I'm literally sitting here doing nothing. I need to record this episode. Read through it, made a couple tweaks to it, read through it again, and sat there for 45 minutes staring at it.
Why?
No motivation to
record it. Oh.
And like, just, I'm like, okay, just hit record. All you have to do is hit record.
Right.
So I did it. You might have known listening to it that I was like a little bit softer than normal, not so energized, but very hyper aware of like what's happening. And I'm like, no, you need to do this right now. There's no more sit on it and just, I'll do it another day.
Right.
So I recorded that, and then as soon as I finished it, I hit record again. And that was what this episode was originally.
Whoa.
Was about like lack of motivation and then like other things kind of going on.
Yeah.
But I think I talked about, like, we're supposed to be doing this video. We were recording stuff, and it was supposed to be, one, all street, which I don't believe in. And I can come back to that point. But two, it was a crew that half of them stopped riding halfway through filming it. So now we've got like these blips and pieces of like people's riding, and then everyone was trying to film their own double angles and post them on Instagram, and it's like, dude, if you post the clip, I'm not using it. Right. And they're like, well, I didn't post your version of it. Okay, you're right, you didn't. But what's the difference?
Yeah.
Or we'd record something, and like, just for an example, if you say like Pegs Hard 180 this up rail, next week on their Instagram you'd see Pegs Hard 3 on that up rail. Well, this is garbage clip to me now. It's filler.
Right.
What am I going to do with it? So I've got a lot of that. You get a lot of that with people in general where you're progressing. So like, even the stuff we were saving was, it's like you can watch this dude's progression, which is cool. But like they did 25 feeble hards on progressively larger things. Well, how many of those do I need to use?
Yeah.
One. I need to use one.
Yeah.
Maybe two if there's a reason to use both clips.
Right.
But the video kind of progressed like that. And then with people not riding, then the group kind of changed. And now I've got all these like partial parts over here. All the while I'm getting clip after clip after clip every time I'm out filming with these dudes. I could probably put 3 video parts together.
Shit.
Probably.
Damn.
Not that anyone would want to watch them.
Yo.
I don't believe in that because I know there's something for everyone in there.
Yo, and a good song and good editing, anything's watchable. You know what I mean?
So I'm like, I still sit there and every once in a while I'll go through and watch through the clips, label more of them, file them off into each person's folders. But no one sent them to me when they were supposed to either. At the beginning of the project, every couple of days, once a week, send me your clips and we'll get them all filed and everything. And everyone stopped doing it. And then I got like an entire dump of 1,000 clips from each person. Because I asked them for everything. I wanted every make, every like attempt, even if it was that you just took your foot off. Because there's always bits that are entertaining. Maybe something interesting happened in the background, or maybe someone said something funny in the clip.
Right. Yep.
That I want to just pull the audio cut of.
I think it.
And they did a thing in one of the old HCS videos that was just called the frustration section. So instead of having a crash section, anything that took 40 plus tries, it would just be rapid fire of the not land and watching the people get more and more frustrated and scream and stuff. So it was really entertaining.
Like a snippet of each attempt?
Yeah, because it almost shows more than the crash section shows.
Right. That's interesting.
You don't always get good bails, but it's insight into how much work goes into something.
Yeah, because even clips that, like, that you're saying, like, maybe not everybody wants to watch, it's like, if it still took you mad long, if you know, you had to apply effort to it.
So, you never know what you're going to want all the clips for, but I just wanted them all. So, when you get dumped just thousands of files on you, though, that is demotivating in its own way.
Yeah, overwhelming.
Because then it's back to the point of, well, you should have just sent me the lands then, because now I'm just going to filter through and I'm going to dump all these in a dump folder and probably never come back to them. But I wanted to do 3 DVDs at one point, or put it in like a triple combo, because we had the main project, we had all the stuff that I filmed from the ice house when we had it. I had every clip and every trick that had ever been done there.
Oh, shit.
I mean, that's a cool little doc video you can do and just interview with a couple people along the way.
Yeah. I mean, you could do 2
I
videos.
have it all.
You could have one with the writing, one with the more
Yeah, the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I have it all. So here's what I thought would be cool. Make the full video and then have almost Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
Of everyone watching the whole video and then pause and do your commentary on like that trick or what was happening at that time.
Absolutely. I think
and
that's cool.
You have the video and then that's like a bonus, right? You can watch the video for what it is and you can hear everyone's commentary.
I tried to do that with one of the Fucks With sections with Josh Stair before I even had a video set up.
I listened.
Oh my God, it was...
it's tough. It's tough to go through it without the video.
I mean, especially when I was trying to do screen share, and the screen share was lagging. So, like, it was working fine for me, and then they're looking at it and it's all jittery. So it's like so much stuff can be alleviated if you can do it in person, or if you just have a decent pod setup. Like now I have different issues where like the guests can't hear the audio. Like I can get them to hear it, but then when I go to record it, it's fucked up. So I gotta straighten that out. That's besides the point, though.
We can mess with that maybe before I leave and try to figure that out.
We could try. I don't know. We'll see.
So there's you can download virtual audio cables.
So I have something similar to that.
And then you can route it virtually as if you're plugging in.
Yeah.
But I still don't feel like it works right.
And I had it work right once, and I fucking lost my shit. I was like, oh my God, I got the music on a separate track. Oh my God. And it was like, in post, it's like I have full-blown control. Not that I need it that much, but if I wanted to cut something out, the whole pod doesn't have to get cut anymore. Especially when I'm shooting video, you know. It's like a little bit like before when it was just audio. It's so much easier to cut around anything.
Yeah. Because all you hear is the audio. You don't see that it cut weird or something.
You find a nice good piece of silence and you just slice right in there and keep going.
Yeah. But with the motivation thing, I feel like it's been, some of it was just needing a break, I think. And the fact that moving away, I didn't have to be that point for a year. But it's a weird thing to find yourself completely unmotivated to do stuff you love.
Yeah.
You might call it depression.
Right.
I don't feel like that, but I have to be to some degree.
Right, because...
But then, like, things like today, like, we threw it out there yesterday, 2 days ago, like, you want to do this? And you're like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, in person? Like, yeah, all right, cool, let's do it. But I'm super down. I've got a couple podcasts recorded right now that there's a follow-up to the Styles for Miles, like a jam wrap-up.
Oh, cool.
We just recorded that last week.
Oh, nice.
There's the one that's probably not going to exist because this exists. But then I don't have any others. I'm supposed to have another one with Johnny about work. And just like, because we did the first one right when FBM was announced as no longer existing.
Yeah.
Which had been like 6 months prior to that he sat there quietly.
Right. Wow.
But I wanted to do a follow-up, just like, how have things gone? What have you learned? What's been like problems?
Yeah.
How's the supply chain situation?
Yeah, because it seems like it's been going decently from the outside.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people will be interested. So I think we're supposed to do that sometime this week, maybe.
Oh, cool.
But I should have like a little bit of content at this point that it's really, I can just sit down and piece it together now. But it feels lackluster to me not having the video. I'm like the opposite of yours. Started out audio only, and has progressed into the video. I feel like mine, since selling the house, has regressed. But it's temporary.
Yeah.
I don't know. I burned myself out with some episodes when I was trying to do like the during COVID thing. I went out and talked to 4 different skate parks about like, how is this impacting you? What do you foresee the future being?
Yeah.
And I really thought there'd be some different takes, and everyone said the exact same thing for 4 podcasts in a row.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm over this. I'm so done.
Right. Wow. I mean, and that's the other thing, just like with the courts one, it's like you can always loop back around to guests that you had before. Like, so how's it going now? Did you guys bounce back? Like, what's up?
Yeah. Well, and there's other things, like I've got notes for totally different, they don't even have to be interviews. Like if if we're doing stuff all the time, like I would say this is more of a hangout. It's not an interview.
Yeah.
But I've had you on before too.
Yeah.
But like I've got just topics in a list on my phone.
Right.
That could be fun to talk about. And like maybe they come up and maybe we do it and maybe they just sit here. But that's what the entire last episode was. That success was a whole bunch of bullet points on my list that I'm like, these all tie together.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a cool one to get done though, because it's like that list is almost a hindrance as much as it's a help when you start looking at this long list of things you haven't done.
Yeah. And it's like, what is the success of it? It's like getting your idea out there, getting it out of your head, getting it out of your head and you're seeing it there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the successful part of it. Now, everybody getting into it, it's like icing on the cake. Did anybody reach out about that success episode?
So I don't get a ton of feedback usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I heard from you and I heard from Casey Smith.
Cool.
So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. And he's got a pod too, right?
Yeah, dude's sick.
And is he still going with his?
So he hasn't posted, I don't think, since August.
Mm-hmm.
But I know his last couple episodes said he was moving to Hawaii.
Holy shit. I mean,
from Indiana.
If you're living in Hawaii, you got other things to do than the podcast.
So I thought that he was capping that season and moving. And obviously that's what it sounded like.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't move until like December or January, I think you said.
Oh.
But I'm sure there's a lot that goes into prepping and, you got to facilitate shipment.
Logistics.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I haven't talked to him about it. I'd be curious for his story when this is all said and done, which I'm sure he'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But do you just sell all your stuff and buy new when you get there? It might be cheaper.
To some degree, especially some heavy ass shit.
Especially like furniture and stuff. Like, do I need to ship this much stuff?
Yeah, how are you shipping a couch? The cost of shipping the couch.
And it might still get there broken.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that. Like, when you ship big stuff, like especially cars, it's like a toss-up every time. Like, what?
I mean, did you secure it well? Did they handle it cautiously?
Yeah, I'm sure there's different tiers.
Yeah.
You put your car in coach. It might fall out the back.
Just put it in the underbelly. It's fine.
Yeah. You got the parking brake on? Yeah, we're good. We're good.
So, I'm curious on that. But, no, you two... Oh, no, Brant... I talked to Brant a little bit.
Yeah.
But because I wanted to reach out to set up discussing the back end of YouTube type stuff.
Yeah.
He said as long as it's not called anything with gay bars.
Oh shit.
So I'm like, yeah, no, you're good.
So he's
Yeah. Just preemptively not wanting any backlash on him because he's gotten enough of it.
Oh yeah. So did he start YouTubing before Austin Augie?
I don't know. I know that he started YouTubing just because it was a place to put his videos.
Yeah, he was very early, I believe.
And he was just like started out right from the beginning filming his friends and him ride bikes.
Yeah.
Everything they've ever done, I think he's filmed.
Yeah. It's really cool. And he's consistent, and BMX needs that. BMX needs consistent people. And it's crazy because, like, it's crazy that there's so many people. So, like, kids these days want to be influencers. They want to be YouTubers. And there's kids that want to be pro bike riders. And then there's people who were pro bike riders who have a following and kind of don't really use their following. They might have a following and then just still chill and just post a clip every once in a while, and they have their own lives. That's fine. I'm not saying anybody should do anything they're not comfortable with. What I'm thinking is, as soon as you have somebody who's been around talking, the podcast immediately changes. Because if you never heard of me and Matt Smith, you'd be like, that name's mad generic. I don't know who the fuck that is. I know 50 Matt Smiths. But if you heard, name a rider, fucking Eli Platt. If Eli Platt had a podcast, I'd be all ears. What's this guy got to talk about? If, Rob Wise, Kelly Baker, anybody on that list, So it's like, I can't believe that there's not anybody with more namesake putting their neck out.
Yeah.
Especially for somebody who's kind of like twilighted through pro. Doyle was the one. Bring back Poliver, Doyle. I know he likes to do things in person.
Yeah.
But, his pod with Brant over the phone was completely fine. I mean, I get it. I do agree. In person is better. Yeah. But just fucking run it, dude. Because you have been somewhere. You've been... My first video... One of my first videos was DK Intuition. So Doyle has been killing it as long as I've known about BMX.
Mm-hmm.
Why not have that dude talking about shit?
Yeah. Yep. Doyle has been around for forever and killed it. Another one I would say is relatively in that same boat. That's still contest caliber. Nyquist.
Yo.
He was a pro's pro when we started riding.
Absolutely. He's also same time frame. And he seems like he has an outgoing personality. He seems like he's not sick of BMX. For as much as he's had to eat, sleep, and breathe BMX, he seems like he's completely still into it.
I used to really love... He did a little YouTube series called Getting Awesome. And it was kind of I would say before YouTube really took off for BMX. Everyone was still on the Vimeo thing.
Yeah. God
Which,
damn it.
dude,
Vimeo set us back.
Yeah, but it was so much better.
It was until they started deleting everybody.
Yeah. It was so much better.
No ads. I remember you were like, you could put a custom thumbnail in.
The interface, the quality level, it wasn't clouded with so much garbage. Like, only the legit people were using it. And I should put a caveat on that because I hate when people do that. Like the real recognize real and the legit thing. It's like you hear it the most from people that suck. Or that are like so not real or true to you. Like, dude, I don't know. Like, what are you, clout chasing just to ride off what you think I am too?
Right.
So, anyway, I just really loved Vimeo. I thought it was great. And then, yeah, it set us all back. Same with I know you've mentioned it a ton of times on your pod, the fact that the come up ceases to exist and all that BMX history. Not only the videos that are missing off of Vimeo or YouTube, but the write-ups and the comments and just the history around it. So be it if the video is gone. It's the fact that it was captured in a moment in time there. And I know you can probably pull it up on like the Internet Archive stuff.
Right, yeah, like Wayback Machine maybe.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not as accessible. Like, I barely even knew about that shit until 2016. And I've been riding since 99. Like, I wasn't gonna, I need to find something out. Let me just pull up Wayback Machine and comb through it like I'm looking through newspapers at the library. No one wants to go that hard.
Well, and it's not like you can go on there. Like, you could go on the come up and you could search a rider's name and you could get everything that they've been in on there. And it's not the same to go through the Internet Archives. You can't go on that website and then use their search. It's like
Oh, right.
It's like a snapshot
Yep.
of what existed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nothing's really clickable. It's more like this is what was there.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then the styles might be gone and shit like that.
So it's cool, but it's not right.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and that's half the reason I wanted to. I'm probably sound like a broken record. That's half the reason I want to be on podcasts and shit. Is like help. You know, like I get it that like riders that have been well known are probably like, I've been there, I've done that, I'm out. I don't feel like fucking talking about this, you nerds. So I get that, but it's like for me, I'm like, well, I kind of grew up on it, and I kind of feel like holding the flame and helping a little bit. And the more that other people have podcasts, the less I feel like I am the less, I don't know what the word is for it, man. Like, the less, it's not sanctimonious. It's like, the more people that are podcasting about BMX, the less I feel like I have to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, once that conversation started, it's like, okay, I got the conversation started. Now I can fade into the mist because I know that there's enough people in here talking. And it's like, it's really cool that Dig has Canode. But what would be really cool is if Dig had a couple people, and if Ride had a couple people, and there was podcast networks, because there's no reason they couldn't, and they could be selling more stuff.
Yeah, you know, and like I love that they're doing that, and Unclicked and everything. Unclicked, I don't think any one particular person's fault, but from its inception, had a biased opinion being Dennis. And Dennis very clearly would say things that he just didn't, like, he didn't care what his sponsors thought of what he would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he said on the one, like, well, when I get kicked off Haro, you'll throw me on Fiend, right?
Yeah.
But things like that. But either way, you know that they're slightly beholden to other people and advertisers and sponsors and everything.
Yeah.
And that kind of sucks. But then I don't, like, Bobby Canode's, if he was doing it as him, you don't have to answer to anyone.
And that's where he was right before Dig picked him up.
Right, well, right, and he's blowing up now.
Mm-hmm.
But, and
his guest list might be picked for him, for all we know.
Right, and so could the questions and the progression, and hey, you can't say this, don't bring this up.
Mm-hmm.
This is the industry secret. Like, we don't know what's being curated, and that sucks in a way.
Yeah, because I always think of us as like the comedy scene, where it's like you got a bunch of people who say whatever the fuck they want and deal with the repercussions afterwards, but we can have a network of people that are on each other's pods, like me, you, Brant, fucking who else? Cam, Go Cave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that dude's done a lot of fucking episodes, and it's like, shit, holy shit.
So, I feel like it's opposite. Like, in BMX, there's always this talk of, like, the pie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's only so much pie, and if I give you some of my slice, now I've got less. And I don't subscribe to that mentality for the most part. One, you can increase the size of the pie by growing, and you can increase that within the podcast world by, like we were talking about, other things. Like, talking about other things, maybe you draw someone in that, oh, hey, that is interesting, or that hashtag pinged me in, and I don't even ride BMX, but now we're talking about work boots, and I wear work boots every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, hey, these guys are interesting. I'll listen to whatever they have to say.
So
my kid rides BMX. Let me turn them on. You
Yeah.
can grow this in other ways.
Right.
By not being so, like, narrow-sighted, I think.
Yes. BMX is extremely narrow-sighted because it is what it is at sometimes, but we are at the point where so many people are into other things and are turned off if you're not into other things. And it's like, realistically, we all kind of have something else going on to some degree. Like, if we just try and, if I post my favorite Instagram clip every day on my Instagram, eventually people will know me as this bike rider person, and maybe I can get somewhere. And I feel like that's probably part of it.
So there's a recent thing that just happened on, and I'm a little bit, I don't know the two people that were involved. Something happened on Twitch where like this streamer got, I don't know if he lost a family member or if he committed suicide or something, but this other guy kept name dropping him in all of his live streams and talking about how sad it was and everything, but would not at him. And someone asked him why, and he said, I don't want to give them a choice of where they spend their money.
What?
And it's like, well, because if you subscribe to me, if you subscribe to him, maybe you don't have the $5 to subscribe to me too.
Wow.
And it's like, dude, I'm pretty sure that's not entirely how it's going to work.
Wow.
But if people have that mentality, I don't feel that way about the podcast world. I want people to listen to you. I want people to listen to Brant.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to listen to BMX in Our Blood. Like, I don't feel like anyone is stealing my listens or views.
Right.
We're all adding to each other's, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I also understand, like, I don't want to have someone on that I think is just trying to get my listeners from me either.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I wouldn't want to go on someone's to try to pull their listener. Like, I know I wouldn't be doing it that way, but I would never want that impression either. Like, oh, let me do yours so that I can get 1,000 extra listens on mine. Like, it's so lame.
Yeah.
But it is a good transition point to what we wanted to talk about like 2 hours ago.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I got to pee real bad, but I wanted to say this real fast. Maybe this is a way to set it up for when we come back.
Well, all right.
Go ahead.
Hang on. Yeah, I'll take what you're going to say, but I'm also going to say we wanted to talk about this. Maybe we just split this as 2 episodes.
Good.
We did all this chatting, and then next episode will be other things we listen to.
Other influences, yeah.
So, all right. Well, part 1, part 2.
Sick.